Hello guys, I am back from another video. Today was about what if Deku was reincarnated into Genshin Impact. So, in the last video we talked about how... Actually, I'm not going to tell you all of it because goddamn, I made that a pretty long video. And by the way, I'm going to be making this a shorter video because, you know, school, things of that sort. But either way, in the last video, we talked about how after, you know, meeting with Ningguang and also, you know, also meeting back with, you know, a certain, you know, cheapskate god, aka, you know, Zhongli, they would get attacked by a few, you know, Fatui Harbingers, and apparently they would explain that their motive is to basically steal the Gazuvia so they can get the Gnosis. Not explicitly, I mean, technically that's true, but still. So, after basically telling this to Ningguang, they would basically go in and basically try to stop it. And it turns out that the person that's actually doing this was Shilde. Not surprising. So, after fighting Shilde, which Shilde would basically go all sicko mode and basically transform into his, what I call, you know, I think it was called the, you know, Dark Legacy form, or was it called Fallen Legacy form? I can't remember the name. So, after fighting him, he would basically summon a fallen god, or at least a dead god, by the name of Osiris. So, after being told of this, everybody would basically, you know, meet up back at the Jade Chamber, and would start a final battle with Osiris. So, after a while of fighting, they would basically defeat it, thanks to the help of basically dropping the Jade Chamber like a fucking bomb. So, after doing that, they would basically make it back safely and would basically start to move out. But they were been told by a villager that apparently Zhongli was meeting up with, you know, a few Fatui agents, more specifically at Northern Bank, which they were worried about. After arriving there, apparently, Zhongli was apparently the god of this nation, aka Borax. And apparently, La Senora and also Childe were there, and apparently they, you know, made a contract with him that made it sure that they would get the Gnosis. So, after doing this, oh boy, let's just say Izuku was confused and also kind of angry, including Lamine, and also Paimon at the same time. So after explaining his own reason of basically doing it, Izuku was not really happy about that, but sort of understands. So, after they left, specifically, you know, Childe and La Senora, which La Senora would start to flirt with him after he came in, which, let's just say, disgusted Izuku for several reasons. So, after doing that, you know, they would basically leave, and so, after that day, they would basically be celebrated as heroes and the Fatui as villains. Yeah, Izuku was not really enthused all that much. So, after doing this, he would basically go back home, which, you know, was basically, you know, Xiangling's home. So, after a while, they would basically, you know, decide to go to the, you know, the rite of parting, which everybody was basically praising them for being heroes and saving the harbor. But, after arriving there, they were told to go into a front row seat because, you know, why not? And apparently, you know, Qi also wants to talk to them. So, after arriving there at the rite of parting, you know, celebration, you know, Ningguang would basically spout out some bullshit about this is a brand new era, things of that sort. And after the, you know, rite of parting, they would basically meet up with you know, Qi. Apparently, Qi wants to tell them that, you know, they can request anything. And so Izuku would basically, you know, tell her that he wants something to be brought to a little friend of his. So, after telling her that, Lumine would basically step up and ask to get some, you know, missing person posters posted around. So yeah, that is basically a short, you know, explanation about what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, we go right after, you know, the rite of parting, which both Izuku, Lumine, and also, you know, not really both, but, you know, including, you know, a certain, you know, emergency food, aka Paimon, was also there. Both, you know, Xiangling and also, you know, Ganyu, I meant Hu Tao, basically left to go back home and do their duties. while you're basically walking around the, I guess you could say, park, which, the rite of parting basically, happened, they would see Zhongli basically there. As you would basically see, both of them, as you would say, "Ah, Izuku," and Lumine, he would basically say, "It's been a while," as Izuku would say, "Yeah, after the whole fiasco, let's just say it's been a bit hectic," as you would say, "It seems so. So, I heard that you're planning to go to Inazuma, right?" As Izuku would say this, "Yeah, that's what Lumine wants to. I mean, I'm not letting her actually go there alone, but still, I do want to go there, just mostly because, after all, it is sort of my birthplace, kind of. I mean, my parents basically came from there, so why not go there, to maybe learn about the traditions there." As you would say, "I see, but unfortunately, it's currently been closed off." As Izuku would say, "Yeah, I recently heard about this by, I can't remember what the frick is her name, but, let's just call her, yeah, let's just call her Yaiko for now." He would say, "Yeah, I heard it from Yaiko. Apparently she's a refugee from that, Inazuma place." As he would say, "Yeah, apparently Baal, or Raiden as she's known by the locals, has been recently, causing a war." As Izuku would say, "What do you mean by a war?" As he would say, "Well, let's just say the war was started because it's because of visions," he would basically say. As Izuku would say, "Why visions?" He would basically look at him. As he would say, "Well, visions are gifts of the gods, given to those that exude the strength of wills. Like, for example, because I'm the god of contracts, those that have that type of power, or at least that sort of feel, they will get my specific type of vision, aka Geo. And for Tevat's, Barbatos, because he's the god of freedom, those that have freedom in their hearts will become, acquainted with that specific, wait for a second, that specific, element or vision. And in her case, Baal or Raiden, her specific, I guess you'd say, like, symbolism is eternity." As Izuku would say, "Eternity?" He would basically think in his mind, as you say this, "Yeah. Let's just say her motivation is pretty weird," he would basically say. As you'd say, "Oh, says the guy who's literally the god of money, but doesn't have any money for shit." As you'd say, first of all, I did really thought of that first, and second of all, that kind of hurt," he would basically say, under his breath. As Izuku would say this. Anyway, so why is she doing this exactly? As he would say, apparently the reason why is because she thinks that these visions, the visions that the gods given to all of these mortals, are basically against eternity. So, she's basically rounding them all up thanks to the vision of decree. And so, she's planning on making all of these visions be, be a part of this special statue, known as the statue, or at least I think it was called like statue or something of that sort. Then it also ends up like, thousand-eyed, thousand-armed something. Let me just check the actual name. The thousand-eyed, thousand-armed god. Which, when Izuku heard it, he would basically say, "Alright, first of all, that sounds a bit weird, and second of all, it sounds like more like she's worshipping somebody else." As Izuku would think this, he would say, "Well, that's certainly a bit weird." As he would say, "Yes. Usually she prefers to not deal with things like that sort, but it seems that something happened to her." As he would say, "Yeah, obviously, like, seriously, what the hell?" As he would say, "Yeah, that is why Inazuma has recently been restricted, mostly because of that reason. Because of vision holders. Those that have visions are considered as, let's just say, undesirables, and so would be stolen away, specifically their visions." As Izuku would say, "Well, that's some bull." As he would say, "Yeah. And because of your vision, you're definitely going to be one of Raiden's targets." As he would say, "Yeah, I can definitely see so. I mean, I'm basically able to do this. As you would start controlling, both, all of the all of the elements that he currently has now, specifically Cryo, Hydro, Animo, Dendro, and finally Geo. As you would say, so you have my element now. As you would say, yeah, so, as you would say, it seems that you also have Dendro. Well, that's certainly surprising. Those that have Dendro are either from, from Sumeru, or either have the powers of a god. As you say, what do you mean? As you would say, well, recently Sumeru has been having some trouble. I don't really know what trouble, but I think it was something about, some of the areas of the woods that she resides in has been recently been causing some damage to her. More specifically, it's starting to rot away. As you would say, yeesh, that sounds a bit horrible. As you would say, yes, I do agree. But either way, wait for a second. So, after, hearing this, Izuku would say, well, that's certainly going to be annoying to go there. As you would say, yeah, it seems so. But, I can surely think that you can definitely get in. I mean, you did some impossible things when you were here, so, as you would say, yeah, I can definitely see why. But either way, we should probably get going, eh, Lumine? As Lumine, oh yeah, we should probably go now. Nice talking to you, Zhongli. As Paimon would basically say goodbye, as Zhongli would just look at the sunset, as you would say, this is certainly a wonderful day, and a new tomorrow will be coming soon. Tomorrow, a new era shall begin. Shall begin, he would basically say under his breath. Sorry about that. So, a few hours have gone by, as currently with Izuku and, Lumine, they're currently packing their bags, as, Hutao and, Xiangling are basically looking at them, as, Xiangling would say this. Hey, Izuku, as Izuku would say this. Yeah, Xiangling? As she would say, here. As Izuku would see a few plate of, not really a plate, but more like a bag. Not really, actually it's more like a lunchbox, like a traditional, Japanese, not really Japanese, but more like Chinese, but, I meant lunchbox, god dang it. She would say, here, this is some food for you when you get to Inazuma. You might get hungry there, okay? As Izuku would say this, oh, thank you. And, what is it, Hutao? As she would say, well, if you're finally going to, Inazuma, just be safe, okay? I don't want to, make a funeral for you. That would just make me sad. As Izuku would say this, don't worry, I promise that I'll be safe. He would basically just look at her as she would say, okay then. Now, before you leave, she would basically come close to him, as she would basically, grab him by the cheeks, as she would basically kiss him. On the lips. Pretty passionately. And not only that, a bit sloppily. And let's just say, both, Xiangling and, Lumine are currently just, going oh no, she didn't. Both of them are just, glaring at her, as she would say, how do you like that? As Izuku would say this. Damn. He would basically start to, feel a little bit flustered, as, Lumine would say, hey, don't you dare do that, and I already told you that we already made an agreement, okay? As she would say, fine, don't worry about it. As, Xiangling would basically come closer to him, as he would say, I meant she, Izuku, can you please give me a kiss, for goodbye? As Izuku would say this, sure. So, as Izuku's basically getting closer to her, Izuku would basically give her a kiss, and would basically say goodbye to them. After packing all of their bags, they would say goodbye, as, Izuku would give them one more last kiss, for both of them. After saying goodbye, both Lumine, Izuku, and also technically Paimon would all go home. Not really go home, but more like go to Inazuma. Apparently, Izuku was told by a certain, broke god that they, got on the ship. not really on a ship, but more like a ship that's basically going to bring them to, Inazuma. Apparently, that ship is basically the only ship that is currently allowed to go through Inazuma to basically, give items to them. More specifically, the items for, survival, like, for example, simple resources, like, for example, armor, and things of that sort. So, after arriving at the, coast, not really coast, but more like the bay, they're basically just waiting for the certain, boat. Apparently, the boat has a weird-ass description, saying that it has, like, literal, like, ballistas and a gigantic-ass dragon head. Which Izuku was thinking in his mind, well, that doesn't seem concerning. So, after a while of basically waiting, they would basically hear the sounds of a ship basically arriving on board. As the anchor would basically, be set off, as the anchor would basically fall to the, ocean. Izuku would look up and see the ship. It seems to have ballistas, and not only that, a large crew, and a dragon head. You would think, I'm guessing this is the ship, as Lumine would basically get ready her stuff, as a few people would basically get out of there and basically started grabbing some stuff. Mostly crates and, other supplies. As a woman with a large sword on her back would basically appear, as she would say, so, you're basically the ones that decided to go to Inazuma, eh? As, after looking at her, Izuku would see that she has, let's just say, mommy energy. Oh, god damn it. She has, like, full-on mommy energy. I guess you could say that. Oh, god damn it. So, she would say, so, you're the ones that are planning to go to Inazuma? Huh, how brave. As Izuku would say this. Yeah, mind telling me who you are? As she would say, oh, I forgot to tell you. The name's Beto, and this is my adopted son. As Izuku would look over and see a man that is about, a simple kid, like the same age as him, maybe like 15. As he would say this, hi, the name's Kazuha. As Izuku would say this, so you're from Inazuma? As he would say, yeah, or at least formally. I'm not really interested in going back. Sort of. As Izuku would say this, I see. As Beto would say this, so mind telling me your names? As Lumine would introduce herself as Lumine. As for Izuku, he would basically tell him that his name is Izuku Midoriya. As Kazuha would say this, are you a part of Inazuma or anything of that sort? As Izuku would say this, well, not technically, my parents are actually from Inazuma, but they sort of left because, the whole, visual degree. As he would say this, I see, that's actually quite understandable. As, after saying this, Beto would basically tell them that they should probably get on the ship. Apparently, she's the captain, which, I guess that makes sense. I mean, you can obviously see the biceps from her, oh boy, from her body. So, after going onto the ship, they would basically start to move out, going into the ocean to never be seen again. So, as Izuku and Lumine are basically, on the ship, they're basically just, like, waiting around, as Izuku would basically open the lunchbox and would basically start to chow down. Obviously, the food is pretty much amazing. I mean, it's Xiangling we're talking about. She's obviously going to make some pretty good, eats. As for, Lumine, she would also try out the eats as well, as she would be amazed and also pretty much stupefied. So, after a while of eating, they're basically making it towards, land. Specifically, Inazuma's ports. So, after arriving there about, near sundown, they would basically see a young man with blondish hair and seems to have, a spear on hand. Almost a spear on hand. As he would basically say this, hey, do you have the, ingredients, the clothing, as he would start listing off some items, as he would basically say that they're part of, the, what is that called? Says about something about being a part of the, a certain family, which I don't really remember the name, but it's definitely going to be significant in the next chapter of this story, I guess you could say, because, she's probably going to be a part of the ship. Maybe. part of the hammer, like a part of the harem maybe. So, as after basically lowering the drawbridge, all of them would basically get out, including Izuku and Lumine, as he would say this. Oh, hello, Captain. As he would say, well, it seems that we have a couple of stowaways. Or should I say, honored guests. As, Paimon would say, shh, don't tell anybody about that. As he would say, oh, don't worry. As, Beto would basically introduce him as Toma. And apparently he's a trade partner. As he would say, oh, hello there. The name's Toma, and by the way, I'm pretty much impressed hearing about you. Especially your exploits in, Inazuma, not Inazuma, I meant, your exploits in, Leeway, and also, your first country, or at least the one that you basically somewhat came from, aka, Mondstadt. As Izuku would say this. And it's nice to meet you too. After shaking hands, he would say, anyway, you should probably get going now. After all, wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, he would basically, say that he's actually a part of a certain, high-class family, but it's not going to be really important. Kind of. So, after saying this, he would basically, look over and would see Beto, aka, Beto, or whatever you want to call her. She would basically start to leave with Kazuha. Actually, not in fact Kazuha, I mean, she would basically, say goodbye to, Kazuha. Basically, Kazuha would basically, go with them, in fact. So, as Toma would basically explain that they had to go and take a register to one of the checkpoints. As Paimon would say this, I thought we're supposed to, keep ourselves in the down low, I guess you could say. As he would say this, well, it seems that we had to do this because, a certain, Sakuka, I think it was called, like, Sakuka decree or something of that sort. Without it, let's just say we're going to be bringing in some more people by, let's just say that. So, after saying this, Izuku would say, well, that does make sense. As he would say, anyway, we should probably go register now. So, as they're basically walking towards the checkpoint, they would make it there as a woman would basically introduce herself. So, as they make it towards the checkpoint, they would see a few, people, including guards and some sort of official. As you would say, or at least the girl would say, ah, hello there. So, please state your business, identity, name. As, after saying this, Izuku would basically state his name, as she would say, are you perhaps a part of this country? Because you definitely have an Inazuma name. As you would say, well, because my parents are from Inazuma and basically left before the, the whole, like, Vision Hunt degree. Well, as she would say, I see. Ah, so, are you perhaps to visit here because of personal reasons? Or, as you would say, no, we're here to sell for wine. Or at least, get the wine or bring it here. He would basically lie, obviously, as, Lumine would say, what are you doing? We can't lie, as he would say. We can't say anything about, personal stuff, so, as she would say, oh, right. As, Toma would say, here are the paperwork. Apparently, we're gonna be coming here because, of this specific reason. As, after reading the paperwork, she would say, ah, I see. So, she would basically look back at Izuku, as you'd say, she would say, I see. So, you're allowed in, for now. So, please get ready your bags and things of that sort. So, after telling them this, they're basically pretty excited, knowing that they're allowed to go into Inazuma, finally. As Toma would say this, alright guys, get ready your bags, let's go. So, after, being told of this, Izuku would say, so, where's the next? As you'd say, well, Toma would basically think, as he would say, ah yes, we're gonna be going to the Outlanders, wait for a second, Outlanders Affairs Agency. Apparently the reason why is because apparently this special agency is supposed to, basically act as like, permanently allowing them to basically go to Inazuma and to other countries without any, resistance. After being told of this, he would say, ah, I see. As Izuku would think, oh, it certainly sounds like, passports and things of that sort in my world, he would basically think. as, Toma would say, anyway, we should probably get going, okay? As everybody would basically get their bags, and so they would start to leave. So, as everybody is basically, starting to leave, Izuku would say, well, this place is pretty much strict, just like everyone told us, as he would say, yeah, pretty much. After all, the whole Sokoku decree basically happened, and because of that, let's just say, many people don't really have any enthusiastic ideas about, Outlanders, as you prefer to call you, as Izuku would say this. I mean, I'm technically part of their country, I'm technically, Inazumian, as you'd say, I guess you could say that. But for Lumine and Paimon, as you'd say, yeah, it seems so, he would basically say, as you'd say, anyway, you should probably start to get going to the, Outlanders, affairs agency. And trust me, they're gonna be nice to you, or at least kind of, okay? Good. So, after being told of this, they would basically start to leave to go towards the, Outlanders, affairs agency. So, after arriving at, the, Outlanders affairs agency, they would basically meet up with this woman. This woman would basically ask them to basically pay for the, processing fee so they can get, full, how do we say this? What do you actually... So they can have full, citizenship in Inazuma. So, this one would say, for the, processing fee, it's about 2 billion mora. After hearing this, Izuku would say, what? After hearing this, Izuku would say, well, that is certainly a lot, as Paimon would say, wait for a second. As for Paimon, she would say, that's a lot, just for a processing fee, as she would say this. Well, there's also for, the actual, making of that specific, citizenship. So it's about to take, equal as much. So it's going to cost about 400,000 mora. Let's just say Izuku is basically just thinking in his mind, what the fuck? Wait for a second. So, after hearing this, Toba would basically come up as he would basically say that he could definitely pay by maybe just reducing it to about 400 mora and basically paying her for dinner. After hearing this, Izuku would think, that sounds stupid. I mean, how? I mean, I can definitely see why, but still, is she really going to be convinced by that? As she would say, sure, I can definitely allow that. Izuku would just look back at him as he would say, what? I'm a bit of a hustler. And besides, my charms are pretty much good with the ladies. As Izuku would say this. Well, that's certainly interesting. And by the way, just how? So, as they're basically getting into Inazuma, or at least the, Inazuman, Outlanders Affairs Agency, they, start, waiting for a while now, and basically waiting for, their citizenship, and after a while, they would basically, finally get it. Wait for a second. So, after finally getting citizenship, Izuku would just, think about how the hell did he actually do it. As Toa would explain that the reason why, that, the prices are pretty high for, just citizenship, not only that, the goddamn fee for it, is because they're basically milking them for their money. Because, let's just say a certain merchant decides to come in, and let's just say if he has a lot of money, let's just say they're gonna milk them for all they're worth. Paimon would start thinking about it because, I still think that she's a bit of a greedy bitch. I think it's just because of the comics, okay? So, after thinking about it, Izuku would say, yeah, I can definitely see why, as you would start to think about certain capitalists in America. So, after a while of basically a bit of talking, Izuku would decide to go to, decide to tell everybody that he's going to go and find himself, a simple room for them to basically sleep in for the night. So, after Tomo hears this, he would say, sure, we'll be meeting back up maybe at, 8 AM, okay? So, after saying this, Tomo would basically leave saying that he's going to go back to his, mistress. aka, a certain, forehead. Oh, I couldn't help myself because of that stupid ass baby. So, after saying this, Izuku would basically say, alright, bye. So, after basically leaving with, Paimon and also, Lumine, he would basically, go to a nearby, inn and would basically set up a room for themselves. After getting into the room, and thanks to the help of his, let's just say connections when he was still, working as a treasure hoarder, he would find out that apparently there's this little, treasure hoarder only, hotel, which is only built by treasure hoarders and treasure hoarders by themselves. So, after basically telling them that apparently his, parents are, apparently after saying that his parents are, his parents, apparently the reason why they're pretty much, giving him the best in the house is because, apparently his parents were pretty much powerful treasure hoarders and in fact considered as the best of the best. So, after getting to, this specific, treasure hoarder bar or, inn, they would basically meet up with a few treasure hoarder friends of his from Inazuma, or at least the ones that are friends with his parents. And after saying hi to them, he would basically tell them that he's going to go to sleep with his, girlfriend, which they're pretty much looking at, Lumine, and they would say, damn lucky. They would basically start saying that, as one of them would basically bring him some sake, and some of them are basically, basically giving him some words of encouragement to basically, try and get himself laid. So, after saying this, they would basically say goodbye, as Izuku would think, yeah, they certainly sound like family members, he would basically think in his mind, as Lumine would say this. Anyway, I'm gonna be going to sleep now, Izuku, so, nighty-night, as Izuku would say, night to you. So, after saying that, she would basically fall asleep, as Izuku would basically go into the futon as well, and so would fall to sleep. So, currently in Baal's, I guess you'd say castle, or I say palace, she's currently been told that recently a certain boy, aka Izuku, aka Izuku of the Thousand Elements, has appeared. And she would say, I see. So, this Izuku of 1,000 Elements, right, Sara? As Sara would say this, yes, Baal. As she would say, I want you to capture him soon. And his little friend of his, this Lumine girl. Got it? After saying this, she would say, yes, Master Baal. After saying this, she would basically start to leave, as she would say, oh hail the whole, wait for a second. Oh hail the mighty Shogun, she would basically say, as all of the soldiers would basically salute. Kind of, like a Japanese kind of salute. As they would basically start to leave, getting ready for tomorrow. As she would say this, I hope to see you, Izuku of 1,000 Elements, she would basically say, as she would basically start, hold out her fingers, as electricity would basically come out of them. So, I'm gonna be ending this episode right off here, so, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and before I actually end this video, I'm gonna be making a poll for, the final girls that are going to be a part of Izuku's harem. So yeah, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!